Rock and roll Chicago, rock and roll Chicago, my hometown. Well, I was born in the city, gonna rock your city, Chicago. Chicago rock and rollers are the best here around.
Hey, this is Paul Martin
And Ray the Roadie.
for the Rock and Roll Chicago podcast. How's it going today, Ray?
I'm doing good. I'm sitting here. I'm filling out my application.
Application for what?
I'm going to get on The Voice, man.
Are you?
Yeah, me and my banjo. Man, I got some nice songs I wrote for me and the banjo. I'm going to get on The Voice and I'm going to win it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Maybe Blake Shelton will pick you because he likes the country music.
That's right. That's why I'm going with the banjo.
Okay.
I think he's got the best record of all the judges.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, so, and I'm sure he'll pick me right away.
Well, it's funny because the band we talked to today, Semple Band, it's Semple, Semple Band. Keith Semple, the lead singer, was on The Voice back in 2015, I believe it was.
Yes, he was.
And he wound up being in the top 20. And but we also talked with Johnny and Josh and Valentine from the band Semple Band, and they got some great stories and some great guys to talk to.
Yes, they were. Yes, they were. I think everybody's going to enjoy this one. So
Let's get to it.
let's get to it. The Semple Band.
How you doing, everybody? Today we're talking with the Semple Band. We're talking with Joshua Patterson, Johnny Gennatti, Valentine. Is that correct?
Valentine.
And Keith Semple Band from the Semple Band. How you guys doing today?
Good.
Doing all right.
Thanks for having me.
Good.
I just celebrated your holiday there, Valentine.
That's right. Yep. That's right. I get a whole day to myself. It's
That's
pretty
awesome.
beautiful.
Well, so tell us a little bit about the band. When did you guys get started, and how long you've been together?
So I put the band together in about 2012. Johnny was with me from the start there. I was still in Seventh Heaven at the time, and I gave the band about 6 to 9 months notice, and then I basically said at this point I'm going to be moving on. And then I talked to Johnny and a couple of other guys, and we basically practiced that entire time until we were ready to go. But between me going back to Seventh Heaven to help them for a year and then getting on The Voice, basically we really only got started as a band when Valentine joined, basically. So like about, what was that, like 2016 or 17?
Yeah. Yes, you guys owe it all to me. Here I am.
I would say we've been
17, I think, Keith. Early in 17, my guess.
So I when anybody asks, my that was the long answer, but short answer, 2017.
I see. So now, okay. So let's go back a little bit and tell us your history a little bit, Keith. I know, like you said, you were on The Voice, and we want to hear about that experience. But going back even further, tell us how did you start singing and playing guitar?
Yeah, Paula, I started back. I learned piano when I was 9, and then I got the bug for music, and then my dad bought me a guitar at like 12 or 13, and that was pretty much it. I was like, I don't want to learn piano. I want to play rock and roll, man. My uncle was... Yeah, I know, right, John? My uncle, he still looks the same now, only with white hair versus black hair. He looked like John Lennon's brother. You know, he had hair to his waist and the circular glasses, and he taught me the first few chords, and then from then on, I pretty much played drums and guitar in his blues band for the next few years. And then I got on a TV show at home and actually won that show. I'll not get into details there. You can always YouTube it. And then after that, ended up getting to go on some big UK arena tours. And that's how the band in America found me, Seventh Heaven, through the videos of that. And then I moved here and I've been gigging ever since. And, you know, been the happiest I've ever been has been in this band, though, because I actually like these guys, which is nice.
That helps, doesn't it? It helps.
Yeah.
So now, where is home originally at?
Northern Ireland. I grew up in a place called Larne, which was famous for absolutely nothing except now it's where they filmed all the Game of Thrones movies.
Oh, nice.
So every time you see that ice wall or you see the big lovely green mountains with the dragon flying over, that's literally like over my house, you know. You know, it's become famous now, but before that it was pretty much didn't matter at all, you know.
So you came here to join Seventh Heaven?
Yeah, they found me in August of 2006. I got an email saying, "Hey, we'd like you to consider joining our band." And they sent me their videos, and they said, "We saw you doing the UK arena tours." I got to do some cool Queen covers as well as my own originals live. And actually, I got to take the band with me. Val and Josh weren't in the band at the time, so I wish they were. But I got to take these guys, Johnny home to do the London O2 Arena for 5 nights sold out in a row. So 115,000 people total over 5 days.
Wow.
Packed arena 5 nights in a row. Me and Johnny still reminisce about it. It was just the most amazing moment. But I got to do that for about 7 years total. And that's where they saw me over here, Seventh Heaven. And then Richie asked me to join. And I was with them for about 7 years, and we did like about 200 freaking shows a year. And I was so burned out. I was miserable. I mean, as anybody will tell you, doesn't matter what I'm feeling when I get on stage, I give 110% regardless of what's going on in my life. It's always been my thing. And I think everybody would vouch for that. But it got to the point where I was like having to go from, here on an absolute low to like an absolute high on the stage. And that was the only time I was enjoying myself, was when I was performing. So it was about time I moved on and made my own choices. And here we are 7 years later doing awesome. Of course, minus COVID.
Right. I still think they're doing 200 plus shows a year.
Well, that's the irony, is that they I'd never say a bad word about anyone, but they absolutely dropped the ball on the whole live streaming COVID type scenario. They could have actually made a pretty good penny and stayed, like kept themselves afloat, right. Like the way we were able to do live streaming. But I think they maybe did like one live stream in a year, like, or close to a year. And I was very surprised by that. But you know what? I haven't really thought about Seventh Heaven until you mentioned them. To be honest, it's like so past tense now. Like I think it's a bummer, because I'm sure these guys will tell you, like, we were on such a roll coming into last year. We had last year's schedule was absolutely like what I call the perfect schedule. It wasn't Seventh Heaven big, but it was compact, and it was exactly what shows we wanted, minus a few. Like we really close to getting our perfect schedule. And then, of course, basically the world stopped. But I try to remind myself that, we're musicians who aren't able to do, perform for a year, versus people who are seriously, like, literally people have died. So I try to remind myself, like, hey, when you sound like you're making a sob story about it, it's really not that bad in the grand scheme of things. But, for a musician like ourselves, like, we love getting out there and performing. It's what we do, Right.
It's tough. It's very tough right now. I mean, not being able to play, or maybe getting a few gigs here and there. But like you said, and what was your perfect schedule? How many times a week or how many times a month were you playing, or were you scheduled to play?
We played two, like every Friday, Saturday. And then we would do our corporate business stuff and our weddings and our private parties. And then on top of that, and then our summer schedule was about 3 shows a week. But again, it was more of our choice of exactly which ones we wanted, if you know what I mean. And then we had some really big corporate stuff booked throughout that year. And the big thing that we were working on, which is a real bummer, is literally right as COVID hit, I did a show at the Airy Crown Theatre down in Cormac Place with the NXS lead singer. And he asked me to come on board to his like big, huge business corporate event package thing that he does. And he was going to have basically my band, have Semple Band, these guys slowly become the local area band, as in the sort of essentially the East Coast all the way out to sort of, Iowa type area of
to the Mississippi. Right.
Yeah. And then of course we did the United Airlines CEO changeover show. So it was this huge big thing and it was going really well. And then of course that meant that they're from Australia. He lives in Australia. So they couldn't even come here anymore. Like there wasn't even an option for this to even happen anymore. So that was one of the big things that we lost, at least in the near future, of course. But for the last year, we've lost out on.
So. Have you gotten any? Did you get to do any shows over the summer or this past 11 months or so?
Yeah, we did one. We did the Bolingbrook Fest because they had sort of like the big area to sort of cordon everybody off in a good way, and the bands and stuff. We actually have a cool video if anybody wants to check it out on the Semple Band website, just sempleband.com. They recorded, with the big jumbotrons and everything. A really high quality video. They recorded our video and audio of that performance. So that's up on our thing. And we're very proud of it because it was a beautiful day. It was a really good performance. And the stage is actually, I think, Disturbed's old stage. So it looks really badass. Like Johnny's on this big 5-step riser of his own and everything,
Nice. So Johnny, so now you worked with Keith early on, you said, right? Did you play with Seven Heaven as well?
No, I did not. Excuse me. Prior to Keith giving me a call in May of, I think that was 2012, I was playing in a band called Chasing the Day, and we were doing all right. We were also under a subsidiary of MTD Management at the time. So it was Chasing the Day. He said, she said, what's the other good guys? I think it's Hi-Fi Superstar and one Serendipity. So we kind of all knew each other. I opened up for Seventh Heaven and Chasing the Day. And then prior to that, I played down the city, in an original band called Lucius War Baby. I was also a roadie for the Fabulous Janes.
Oh,
I don't know if you, so I've kind of been around the scene for a little while and stuff. But I'm having a lot of fun playing with Keith. So when I've been with him since the beginning, and it's going great. The funny thing about like how after I got the call from Keith, I literally called my guitar player, he called me because he wanted to have band practice again. And he's like, yeah, we got to go practice. I got to go over my solos. I'm like, guess what? I quit. I'm out. I'm done, son.
You're going to have to go over them solo, right?
Yeah. You do that at home. I didn't, it's just that kind of, they were good guys. They're businessmen during the week. It was their weekend warrior kind of mentality, right. But they still put it in 110%. We had great gear and stuff. We got to open up for Seventh Heaven, so we were doing something right. But yeah, it's and prior to that, I also I've been a luthier for a long time. My father was a guitar maker. He went to the Chicago Conservatory. I grew up in this, like from the beginning.
Right. I was going to ask you about the luthier thing. I saw your video on the Semple website.
That makes him look way cooler than he really is.
Man, you haven't even explored the depths of my coolness yet. Still holding on. I want to give you it all at once. I got to have a little something in the gas tank.
The best 3 minutes Johnny can give.
Well, that's very good. Cool, though. I mean, you're a drummer, but you work on guitars.
Yeah, I went to Chicago School of Violin Making as well.
Oh, really?
So I was under tutelage of all the great masters there. Well, Tishun Ho Lee is the guy there. He has trained Mint-Vald. He's originally from Korea. I got to inspect Strads, Guarneri's, Steiner. Yeah, it's something else, man. I tell you, it's a good foundation, at least to get into musical instrument making, just because, I do more of the restoration. I've been building a little bit more often right now, but it gives you such a high standard to when you go to the guitar, there's a lot more, some things are a little easier, but you need more machines when you make guitars because, you know, it's just way easier to do that.
So how'd you get did you start out playing guitar?
No, I was a drummer. My cousins, all my cousins were in bands. We always had family jams growing up, and, you know, 7-part harmonies, the whole family singing and stuff, Eagles and Beatles mostly.
Yeah.
And my cousin Mike Panaccio, who plays in Son of the Clones. He plays keyboards now for him and the lead singer. Those are my first cousins. So that was my first influence. And Dave used to come over when I was 7 or 8. He'd bring an amp and we'd jam out. I had a drum kit at that time. We were just playing like hair metal tunes because it was, late 80s, early 90s. So yeah, I've always, and my dad played in a series of, cover bands, and more wedding bands actually. And I mean, they would have rehearsal at the house, and that was 1 or 2 going to sleep with that going on in the living room. So
that's cool. So how about you, Joshua? We'll stick with the rhythm section here. Bass player. And,
yeah.
And tell us a little bit about your backstory.
I am the newest member of Semple. I was a full-time musician. I started on guitar playing in original bands, doing a little touring and recording. And I think around 2010 got into the lovely cover scene. So started playing in a 90s cover band. And I ended up playing bass for Gina Gonzalez, which timing couldn't be better because she used to tour with Gary Sinise and the Lieutenant Dan Band. Right before I got the call from Keith. Actually, the true story is I got the call from Gina. Gina was the one that called me and told me, hey, Keith is looking for a bassist, wants to know if you'd be interested in auditioning, which was only a couple years ago. So like Keith was talking about, I was launched into the greatest shows that I've ever played. Just thousands of people right off the bat, festivals. We were traveling the country, played, Mexico, California, all within the first 6 months of me being in this band.
Yeah, man, that was fun.
And then it's like, I woke up from the dream and
I know it's not exactly music related, but I think Josh has to tell the sushi story.
Oh, don't do that to the poor boy.
It's funny, man. I mean, you got to laugh at yourself.
Yeah,
if you don't tell it, and he's going to tell
it. We were very.
It is where you got your namesake from, King.
Right. Yeah, I embrace it now because this is right before we were literally grounded. We got to play a great corporate event to a rented out hotel resort in Mexico, Puerto Vallarta, right?
Yep.
We had one day where we worked our butts off and got the job done even more so than we thought we were going to need to, sweating, trying to fix the technical issues before the gig. But we had about another 3 or 4 days of letting loose and letting our hair down. And one of those days I got a little drunk and made a good relationship with one of the guys that worked there. And when they went out for the big band meal, it was an Italian spot. I requested that Alfredo.
Well, his name was Alfredo.
Alfredo. I requested that Alfredo go get me some sushi from the neighboring restaurant and bring it over to the Italian restaurant.
And did he?
And that's where I got my nickname, The King, which they still call me now in Semple.
Because it came.
He brought it to you?
Yeah, he brought it over. I was generous with him. I'd like to say by the end he was my friend. We had some good times with Alfredo, but he had my back. Yeah. He hooked it up for me there.
Very good.
We were spoiled rotten on that trip, to be honest. It's a whole week, all expenses paid, and we're getting paid to do the show, but it's only a one-night show. So basically it's all, basically you just, whatever you need, it's taken care of. And Josh would just be like, I feel like sushi right now at 4 a.m. or whatever, and we're sitting there and we're laughing so hard at the fact that he's ordered this sushi and it's arrived. And he takes a bite of sushi, and we make him laugh, and he literally like chokes, and then he takes a drink to wash it down, but he can't control himself, and he literally throws it up and like takes it back down and swallows it because he thinks nobody's seen him. We are all in absolute stitches at this because it was like running out his nose. He was like, we had so much fun on that trip. We were laughing so hard.
And this is on video too. This exists. This entire scene that Keith just described. There's video evidence of this too.
Great. Can we see it on YouTube or what?
I honestly, I think it's on the Semple Facebook page. I'm pretty sure it's still there.
If it isn't, Paul will send it to you. It's worth it. You know, it was fun trip we did. We went up into the San Francisco hills and played for a wedding on top of one of the big wineries. Now, the day of was a nightmare because of the rental equipment. So the guy we dealt with didn't understand the difference, I'm not kidding you, between an in-ear monitor system and a microphone lapel system.
Yeah.
So we kept on saying, "Oh, I've got those in there." I'm like, "No, you've got me a set of 4 lavalier microphone wireless setups. I need the in-ear monitor, but that's the opposite way round. I need it to receive the signal."
Right. Instead of sending a signal, right.
Right. And he just could not fathom this. And we went back and forth to the Guitar Center there maybe 5 or 6 times. And so stressful a day. From 10 a.m. we started expecting to be done at 1 just in case. We even gave ourselves like an extra hour. We ended up not getting done, guys. What was it, till like 4:30 or 5 maybe?
I recall it being more towards 5 o'clock.
Yeah. And at that point they were just arriving to start their night. And that was it. We had to just go. I think we went home to the place we were staying, got changed and came right back. And that was it. That was our entire day. We were starving, miserable.
I don't know what these guys
I was fine.
yeah, I was going to say, I don't know what these guys are talking about. We were playing on a vineyard, so I just drank wine the entire time.
The drums worked well. I was like, my job's done.
It sounds like
No,
you guys
go
have
to
done-
Guitar Center again. I'll be fine. I'll hold down the gear here.
Sounds like you guys have done some traveling, huh?
We have, yeah, we've had some fun. We even lately, before COVID hit, we were starting to do some nice casinos within a sort of 4 or 5 hour circle, and we'd like to think we do a good job at what we do. We're entertaining, and I think because our repertoire is so wide, like Valentine does a great job on the country stuff. Josh has all the 90s stuff covered. I pretty much do everything else, all the, from the 80s right through to today, all the different styles. So as long as we vary it up enough within every 30-minute period, we please the old farts and the young kids and everybody in between. There's always some old guy shouting for Elvis or something. We can do that.
Free bird.
Free bird.
And then there's a girl asking for, the weekend. We got that covered too. You see what I mean? So yeah, we were doing well, and it's slowly coming back now from about St. Paddy's Day coming up. We're sort of getting a schedule of some sort. And then I think we're at Ballydoyle Downers Grove for actual St. Paddy's Day, which is a Wednesday. So at least we have some shows that are, coming back again. I mean, we've waited basically a year.
So Valentine, tell us your story a little bit.
Well, geez.
You said now, Josh, you're the newest member, right?
Yep.
But Valentine, you said you brought the band together, right, in 2017?
Yeah, I wish I could take credit, but I didn't really do anything.
No, I have to admit, when he joined, I kind of knew, I'm like, this is the vibe, this is right, because we went through a few guitar players. All of them had like their own thing to bring to the table, but I love you, Val. Big V.
I love you, man.
Sorry to interrupt. Continue, Val.
Stop, but please keep talking. Yeah, I mean, it seems like by the time I came on, and originally I just came on to, I was in a project for about 3 years that I had started. I basically came on to kind of help the guys out. They were in between players. They had a busy schedule. I was gigging at that time, playing solo shows, playing my other band. I was gigging like crazy. And that a young me 5 years ago now was open and willing for the challenge. Like, sure, I can take on another 30 shows. Why not? Terrible idea, by the way. But basically just, initially was, hey, can you come on? Just play whatever shows for us you can. And, if we decide that, you're a good fit for us, we could offer you the full-time position. And so I played probably 3 or 4 months with them, and the position was offered to me. And at the time, I was reluctant to take it, not because I didn't like the guys and I didn't like the project. It was just, I was very much in love with the band that I had created from scratch. We were about 3 years in. The people in the band were my friends. We were starting to get busy and we were doing really well. So it was kind of hard to walk away from that. But, Semple, even though it was kind of the infancy, they were just, with Keith being on The Voice and just everybody's experience, the project was just miles ahead, where my project was, just better shows. The money was better, more opportunity. So it was hard to say no to that. And, here we are. Holy cow, 5 years later, we've done a ton of shows, traveled a lot, had a lot of fun. So it's been great. This year, we've done a pretty good job of pivoting and trying some different things. I was kind of already on the Facebook Live thing. I was doing them. I do a lot of acoustic solo shows, and I was doing them for about 2 years. And then right when, COVID happened, kind of everyone, was forced into that realm. And I feel like we did, especially from a band perspective, you didn't see too many bands doing it. It was a lot more of like solo acoustic things. And with being able to utilize our individual skills, Keith's studio and Keith's skills in the studio, we really kind of put together, I feel like, a standalone product this last year with our lives. So it's been, it's been pretty good.
On that note, I just want to make a point. I don't want to sound like I'm pandering here, but I really do want to thank our fans for the last year, because I'm not even slightly exaggerating when I say that they have essentially kept us afloat with their generosity. We've done, about about 2 shows a month in here, and we live stream it to Facebook, and they've literally been so generous with tipping. Some people are in better situations than others, but even people that have been struggling financially have found a way to help us out and send us tips. And we try to work very hard to give them something different every time too. Like we've done some themed nights. We just did a love song night for Valentine's there. That was a lot of fun. And I just think they've been amazing. We give away, like guitar giveaways and things like that to give people incentives to tip. And it was awesome. I went and hand delivered the guitars to these lovely folks. And yeah, it just gave me this warm, fuzzy feeling, considering the horrible year that this world has had. It was the cherry on top of at least keeping something to look up to, something to feel positive about, was the fact that these people were missing us. They, like, to them, coming out and seeing us is their way to get away from their daily lives and daily routines. Then they felt like they were saying thank you for the memories, almost by helping us out and tipping us during the time when we couldn't do what we do. And I just wanted to get that in there, because it has been a humbling, thing to experience the generosity.
Well, I think we all appreciate our fans, and without them, you'd be playing to nobody. And obviously you're doing it I know, and it's probably hard to get the energy and the enthusiasm that you would at a live show. But if you're doing it and knocking it out and people are enjoying it and tipping you, then that's very cool.
The only good thing about being on the live stream is you can at least scratch your butt when you're not on the camera, you know?
The one challenge though of playing live, like how we do, is like you're almost under like it's like live studio session. Like there's not much room for air.
Just hey, speak for yourself, Johnny.
Hey, I'm just saying. I'm playing pretty good, I think. But you know,
that's what I'm saying.
I want to take this opportunity to give a shout out to our sound guy, Rob, who's had, a crazy year. His wedding plans were, busted up. And then all of a sudden he'd gotten so accommodating of like our live sound. And now here we are in this, confined studio. And Keith and Rob spent a lot of time really learning how to adapt our sound and dial in a totally different sound.
I'll show them here. I know you won't, I know it's just audio, but at least the guys can see. This is my soundproof vocal booth.
Oh, nice.
And it has the amps in there too. I can crank the amps up to like 100 decibels and you can barely hear it right from where I'm sitting. And so Rob would sit in there with the headphones on.
No ventilation.
Well, we're out here. The drum kit and everything's set up for a performance here. He would sit and mix on his headphones what's going out to the live stream. And he's absolutely a genius. So anyway, sorry, Josh, go ahead.
No, just that. Exactly. Like to be thrown into that, the entire band, we had to, learn how to still give that performance to nobody while basically looking at each other. But more so than that, Rob and Keith spent a lot of time learning how to do something that we had not that much experience in, the live streams and the video. And, I'm very proud of where our sound evolved from our first streams to where they've been lately.
Well, a sound engineer can make or break a band, and he's like the extra member of any band,
Yeah.
And to have a good one is always good. Hey, Ray, what are you doing?
I'm getting my bluegrass on. I'm playing my banjo, except there seems to be something wrong with the strings.
Well, Ray, GHS makes strings for all types of instruments: electric and acoustic guitar, bass guitar, mandolin, ukulele, and even banjo.
Then I'm getting new GHS strings and my banjo will sound better.
I don't think it's the strings, Ray. GHS are easy to play with rich, full balanced tone, available in many different gauges.
Great for all musical styles, so if you play
with the best. Play GHS strings.
So Valentine, we were talking with you. So your musical background, where did that start? Your family musical? I mean, you musically inclined, or?
I'd like to think I'm musically inclined at this point. It only took 30 years, though, right? A little bit in my family. My little fun fact: my great uncle, I guess it would be, was a famous trumpet player in the 30s, Johnny Valentine. It's part of my namesake as well. He's not as famous as you, Louis Armstrong or whoever, but
that name is gold.
Yeah. I know. Why couldn't mine be as cool? I don't know.
I mean, it's not too late. You could change it.
I don't know if I inherited any of that or not. Probably not. But my dad played guitar, and my mom, we had a piano, and my mom had my brother taking classical piano lessons. My brother's about 5 years older than I am, so I looked up to him, and she got me into taking lessons as well. So I was classically trained on the piano. I started at about 8, and I did pretty well. I mean, I would say I was excelling. They started putting me into some local competitions. I remember getting a silver medal at one of them, and my teacher and my mom was applauding me, and I was like, "Is this good?" I didn't even know. So the second loser in that scenario. But it wasn't until about I turned 10, and like I said, my dad played guitar, that I was kind of starting to get really passionate about wanting to play. And I asked for a guitar for Christmas, and I got one for Christmas. And basically, I remember sitting at the dinner table Christmas Day still holding the guitar, just plucking one string, didn't know what the hell I was doing, but I'd probably held it for 6 hours that day. And that kind of sums up my guitar playing life. I probably should have stuck with the piano. I still play piano, but I couldn't. There was something about the guitar. It's just a part of me. I can't put it down or let it go. And then just, throughout the years, had some other education, if you will, some guitar lessons, a lot of time in different bands in school. I played sax for a minute. Couldn't get in on that. Jazz band in high school. Went to college, for just local community college, for a minute. To play music, and realized that they were basically the education I was receiving was pushing me in a direction to be a teacher. And once I figured that out, I was like, oh, that's not what I want to do. I want to be playing music. So I dropped out, and not too long after that, entered into a situation where I got a record deal with Universal Records. Playing Spanish music, if you can believe it. I don't speak Spanish. Well, it was kind of like, it was kind of like pop rock, but in Espanol. These guys are about 15 years older than I am. I'm like 19 years old at the time. And I just saw an ad in the Illinois Entertainer, responded to it. And that kind of started my journey in the Chicago music scene. I was already playing some, like some small gigs, random here and there, acoustic, started with open mics, and then maybe you play someone's birthday party, and then maybe you get a gig at a restaurant or whatever. But once I joined, the group was called El Guapo. Once I joined them, we started playing fests, and we started, opening up for large rock and Espanol groups. And
Valentines.
That's right. Valentines Benoit. That's right.
Okay, I was at Menudo, so I get
it. So what's your go-to guitar?
I've been playing, it's actually the band I was talking about earlier. Nice. Before I joined Semple. It's actually my bass player's from that band's guitar. He's also a phenomenal guitar player, but it's a Telecaster. I can show it to you guys if you want. I just have to get it out, but it's okay. It's like a mustard yellow, and it's a parts caster. He kind of put it together, and it's cool though, because, Keith was talking about in Semple Band, we really hit everything. And being in a project like that, really, you need a versatile instrument, and this Telecaster, because it has a really thick, heavy body, and it's got dual humbuckers on it. It really is very versatile. It can clean up nice, and it really has some balls if I need it to. So that's been my go-to. But besides that, I've always been a Strat guy. I've got a G&L Legacy that I got for my 16th birthday that just, it's got Eric Johnson written all over it. So that's kind of, yeah. I would probably play that if it wouldn't make me sound like such a wimp on stage. Just Strats are great, but man, you can only do
once you go to a telly, it's hard to go back.
Yeah, it's just especially that one with the humbuckers. It almost is too. It almost screams too much. But when we play our Zeppelin, or when we play the rock medley, you kind of need it.
Yeah. Now, Keith, you said you do some shows too, right? Some shows on your own, some solo shows.
Yeah, I would do, one or two, well, maybe, two or so a month, on top of the band stuff. This is all I've ever done. Music's all I've ever made a living from. I would do some extra ones if we had a light week or whatever, or I knew, we were going to take this weekend off or something. I would, do some unplugged solo stuff. At the end of the day, everybody, all the guys know, full band is my only, what would you say? It's the only, priority.
Well, tell us a little bit about your experience on The Voice.
Yeah, so it's funny. I've been on 3 TV shows now, and I didn't enter myself for one of them.
Oh, no?
So I'm really not, I shouldn't say this, I guess, but I'm really not a big fan of reality TV, especially reality music TV. but I have very, amusingly nice friends and family who keep entering me for things because they think I'm going to, do well in them. And I've done pretty well, I guess. I got entered for The Voice by our friend Leanne that works for the band. And I got a call to basically skip the lines, so I didn't have to stand in the 10,000 people lines. And I got through and I ended up, doing the blind audition. I got through that. I ended up getting, through to the knockout or through to the, the battle. I won that. Then I was in the knockouts. I won that. And then I ended up making it all the way through to, the next round, the top 20. And all the time I'm just like, oh, this is cool. Just like I'm getting through. So I'm going to stay in it and get some publicity and get my name out there. And it was fabulous. I mean, it's nice to see how a show like that works behind the scenes too, because those guys make it look like this stuff happens all in one continuous thing, but it happened, 1 minute of footage is like a week long of recording. I think the younger kids were more affected by the whole thing, but obviously I've played stages and things that are, at even another level than that. So it wasn't like I was intimidated by walking on a stage in that environment. I've played arenas and we've, Semple Band has played some amazing festivals. And it was just that, that on the other side of that camera, there's about close to 10 million people watching. That's the intimidating part.
So tell us a little bit about some original music now. You guys have a few originals, right, that you do.
Yeah, we try to put out a small EP every year, like a 4 or 5 track thing that we can sell throughout the year at our shows. And we do, 2 or 3 at each show, spread it out throughout the covers. And I really love that side of Semple. We haven't had much chance to bring this next CD that we're working on to fruition, but it will be done at some point. It's just, I have another project that is entirely original and it takes up so much time because it's progressive rock. It's like, Rush and Dream Theater and stuff like that.
Okay.
So the production and the recording and the writing takes 2 years from start to finish. So it's like, right now I'm just finishing up. Like
takes about that long to listen to one song too.
The new release is just one song,
Yeah, well, actually, ironically, that's what we did for our last record. Was we released a 21-minute, 12-second long song as a kind of ode to Rush's 2112. So it's called The Butterfly Effect. And anyway, my point is that Semple does EPs, and then we try to make the music. We sort of decided like a couple of EPs ago that we should make the music we write reflect the music we play in the shows. Like we can't take ourselves too seriously on the original side. We should just write really fun stuff. So we wrote this really cool song called 5 O'Clock, and it's an Irish drinking song. And it's so catchy. And from the first time we've played it at any show, it went over so well because people don't even know it's ours sometimes when they ask us, well, who sang that, and it sounds like Dropkick Murphys,
right?
Meets like, I don't know, almost like meets Bon Jovi, kind of like, as in like it's got rock but it's got that real Irishy side to it.
Happy hour, you say, the best part of the day. Hey to Jack and Jim, they're my favorite friends. They keep saying it's too early, but I just can't wait. 5 glass rum in the rack, we're going to the bottom of the bottle's dry. Oh no, we don't care, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. We all know why, we're going to the bottom of the bottle's dry.
Johnny is awesome on the drums on it.
Irish drumming is right in my wheelhouse, for my upbringing. It's good to kind of lay it down for everyone to hear.
Yeah, well, we actually
you do that with your family, right?
Oh yeah, it's just totally all the Puerto Ricans. That's all we do is Irish music. Yeah.
Well, it is a very green country, Johnny. So
this is true. Very true.
So who does the writing? You do, Keith, or the whole band?
It used to be all me, but that was before I had these guys involved. So we've actually finished an EP. We have it sitting here. As soon as I finish this one up, I'm able to actually make the product. But Josh came on board and had some great ideas, and we've worked on a whole new thing. So ironically, one thing we never really write now is a good ballad, because we can't really perform it live in the middle of doing some big huge medley, or we've just played like the Killers and then we're going to do this ballad. It just doesn't really work. But this time we wrote this killer ballad. It sticks in my head and we haven't even really finished writing it yet, but it's one of these things where I keep thinking it throughout the day, and I'm like, I can't wait till that product is out and we can, for a change, we can break it down maybe during the summer fest, when it's 90 degrees, and let everybody have a rest and say, all right, here's our new song, and just let everybody rest for one. I have to say, I like working with Valentine on stuff, because he has a completely different flow than me. And so it just is good. When we get together, we tend to work on the nitty gritty of it really well. And we sat on a one trip, remember, Val, on our way home from somewhere. It was like a 6-hour drive or whatever. And we listened to our little clips and wrote down lyrics and melodies and recorded them. And, and all of a sudden we have a whole new CD waiting to go. We just have to, physically record it.
I think that was our last EP, 5 o'clock. We basically wrote almost, which is probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite track on that Army of One. I think we wrote almost that entire song, the lyrics at least. Yeah, just on that trip. First we have a melody, and then, okay, what's the song about? I seem to be really good at picking song titles. And then Keith helps me fill in the rest.
Yeah, well, I mean, the song 5 o'clock is just so catchy, and the lyrics are so clever. Valentine came up with this line. It's hey to Jack and Jim, they're my favorite friends, as in like Jim Beam and Jack Daniels.
Right.
And it's just so clever.
But it's true.
He's just speaking the truth.
Yeah.
And it's super catchy. Yeah. I mean, we just figured, why not write what the style that we're doing when we're actually performing anyway. We should make it flow endlessly, and nobody would even know it was an original, but nobody has lost the interest in the band either. Yeah.
Right.
So 5 o'clock is your most current EP?
Yeah. Yes.
That was after Learn How to Fly?
Yes. And Learn to Fly was just something I put together personally. So I did all the instruments on that, guitars, drums, all, piano, bass, everything. I still love, to me, Not for Radio, which is the big full length album that me and Johnny basically put together. I still love all the songs on that, but they're really serious rock songs. Like, they're not the sort of thing that really fits in our set. Johnny has a song that he wrote on there called This Letter, which is incredibly personal to him. I mean, I know that I've been moved to tears listening to that song. And
oh, shucks.
Yeah, no, I mean, I have. And one of the biggest compliments I've ever received was from Johnny, when Johnny said that he had sat on that song. He had somebody sing it once to hear it, and he liked how it was done. But he said he'd sat on it for so many years because he wanted to wait till a vocalist could do it justice. And that was like my biggest compliment or one of my most favorite compliments that I've had in my career, was Johnny liking how I interpreted what he had written.
And then the first time I heard it, we were in London at the O2, and I was like Niagara Falls. But on that track in particular, I played all the music on it. I think maybe there was one other thing added in, but the bass line, the drums, the guitars, it's me. When all of us get together, especially on this next new EP, is really going to be something different. And There maybe might be a horn section on this one ballad. We'll see.
Well, Johnny, funny you were mentioning that, because that ballad I was talking about that we've written, sort of I think Valentine played this kind of like sort of John Mayer-ish type guitar riff that he plays regularly. It's just his little thing that he does, like this thing, and it had a groove. And we just started, I was like
that.
I was like, what is that? What is that? And we just started jamming. Johnny just, this unbelievable groove. And Josh just comes in and he's like, oh, here we go. And all of a sudden there's this beautiful groove that became this song. And it's moments like that when I remember why I do this for a living, you know, those magical moments when everything just.
And what song is this?
You know, we don't actually have a title.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just groove. It's groovy ass MF and tune. That's all we know it as at the moment. We will name it. There's one that sounds very Imagine Dragons-ish on this next record, which I think all the guys are really digging. And then there's one that sounds completely different again, and they all have a different twist, but they're all, in my opinion, sounding like anything that's out today.
Well, I look forward to hearing it and seeing you guys. I see you've got over 1 million hits on YouTube and over 25,000 followers on Facebook and Instagram and what have you. As a matter of fact, where can we find you on Instagram and on Facebook and stuff?
Yeah, you can find us at
business.
You can find us at Semple Band on Facebook and Instagram. Also, Keith Semple is still a couple of the URLs. So if at Keith Semple on Instagram and YouTube, I think is still Keith Semple. But if you type in either Semple Band or Keith Semple on Facebook, you will get the pages easy. And the website is just sempleband.com, and that includes everything. So that's the good starting point. We would always say, go to the website and all the links to everything else are on there. So they would take you to the Facebook and the Twitter and all that stuff.
I see. Well, appreciate you guys joining us today. And
thanks a lot.
About the band.
No, it was fun. Definitely.
There's a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Yeah. You'll just edit it down to us saying, you know,
no, we'll edit that much out of it.
Johnny, sup? Keith, wow. Good night.
I'm leaving the sushi story in there.
Most definitely.
Well, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. Good luck on the upcoming season.
Cheers. Thanks so much for having us.
Talk to you soon.
Yeah, continued success, too. Thank you.
Thanks.
So that was Keith Semple and Johnny and Joshua and Valentine. And it was some fun stories there from those guys.
It was. I mean, those guys are all right. A lot of fun. I can't wait to get out and see them once they get out and playing again. But I'm kind of bummed out.
Why is that?
Well, I sent in my application to The Voice and they already turned me down.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I sent a file of my singing and banjo playing, and they said, no, they have no room for me.
Maybe you could try again next year.
Maybe I'll try. Maybe I'll try one of the other shows.
Practice.
Yeah, maybe I'll try American Idol or America's Got Talent or something like that. But I'll keep trying. But in the meantime, you guys got to get out and check out the Semple Band. They got some great music.
So they've been practicing and they've been playing. At least they've been doing some virtual stuff, some
live
streaming stuff, right?
On Facebook.
Right. And so check them out and don't forget to practice. Keep practicing.
But you know what? I put new GHS strings on my banjo and I think this is going to work for me. Good deal. Yeah, so anybody that is in the market for some new strings, check out GHS strings. They make them for the banjo, of course, the guitar, the bass, the mandolin, you name it. If it's got strings, they probably have them. Right. So thank you very much for listening, everybody. Oh, and don't forget to check out the Illinois Rock and Roll Museum on Route 66. Be sure and go to their website and check out what's going on there. Go to their Facebook page and check out what's going on. They've always got something happening there, and hopefully they'll be getting that place open soon. And while you're there, sign up to be a charter member. Lots of good stuff you get with that. Okay. Thanks for listening, everybody. Until next time, I bid thee farewell. Bye-bye.
Rock and Roll Chicago podcast does not own the rights to any of the music that's played on this podcast.
The music is used to promote the band or musicians that are interviewed.
Rock and roll, Chicago. Rock and roll.